Dr. Dapo Thomas joins us now. He's an analyst and historian. Thank you for coming this morning.
Good morning.
Well, it's interesting, the development we're seeing now. I mean, we started out by saying, well, we just had that two-day summit, and then yesterday, security also being on the red alert, and then all of this just happening in this one country, and we need to get a solution to all of these problems. Tell us your thoughts first on the just concluded summit. Anything new you think is added to the debate, the body of knowledge?
Well, as per the summit, I think I prefer that dimension. That perspective is better than the convocation of Sovereign National Conference. If we keep having conferences or summits at such levels or at different levels, people coming with their reflections or their thoughts on how to make progress, how to have good leadership, and how to live as a united nation, as one nation. I believe that we should be able to collate. We should be able, and then we must have at the end of it all, the ultimate of whatever summit or whatever conference we are holding is for the leadership to have the political will to be able to implement and execute some of the recommendations, some of the opinions and views, or some of them very thought-provoking, some of them well thought out. So some of these things, even if it is as usual, in the Nigerian palace, you set up a committee to review the summit outcome, to review the recommendations of the summit. You understand? And then you set up another ad hoc committee to review the recommendation of the committee. Whatever process you want to take, at the end of it all, let it be known that you have the political will to be able to implement or execute most of the recommendations that are germane to national unity. Otherwise, the idea of having conferences all the time, sovereign national conference, regional conference, all sorts of things, and at the end of the day, there is no political will to implement them. It's, to me, an exercise in futility. So I believe that the ultimate should be the political will.
How do they demonstrate that political will to kind of assure people that, all right, you can go ahead and talk, but we will do something?
No, you have to be sincere. The most important thing about leadership is the readiness of the leader or the president, so to say now, to go beyond issues that transcend ethnic coloration, religious coloration and everything. Be sincere. Be a nationalist. Be a national leader. Once you are a national leader, everything will come, everything will come in line, will fall in line. It is very simple. But the basis for some of our leaders coming into power is to promote ethnic agenda, is to promote religious agenda, is to promote elite agenda, is to promote class agenda. So once you have this kind of objective at the background, then it becomes conscripting, it becomes constraining. You find it difficult to be able to do what is in the national interest. The most important thing is for you to be a national leader. And I find it difficult to believe that most of the leaders we have been having have found it difficult to be nationalistic. They have been very, very self-promoting.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. The concept of service to every individual varies.
Because you're a historian, it's even good that you're here because, once upon a time we heard stories of great nationalist leaders, and in civics history and even in social studies we've actually studied loads and loads of them. But all of a sudden that died, and we felt maybe it was as a result of maybe taking that out of our school curriculum. Is it that there are no more nationalists in our midst, and what will make you a nationalist leader? What are we expected of you?
Now, with due apology to all those who have died, the nationalists, the so-called nationalists, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa, Obafemi Awolowo, and Zik. You see, the concept of nationality, the concept of saying somebody is a nationalist is not when you promote. At that time when they were called nationalists, it was because they were promoting the Nigerian agenda against the British rule. So they saw them as nationalists. It was not that they were nationalists as pan-Nigeria situation. They were nationalists while they were fighting the British. But immediately after securing independence, what happened? All of them withdrew into their ethnic kunkuns.
No, maybe
and started promoting ethnic agendas, and then Awolowo had been seen, and that is why till today it's not revered beyond the Yoruba terrain. It may be respected, it may be loved, it may be admired by certain elements in the north, by certain elements in the east, but the popularity of Awolowo and the nationalistic the nationalistic identity that Awolowo had is limited to the Yoruba nation. You understand? It's limited to the Yoruba nation. The same thing goes for Zik. See Ojukwu now. The same thing goes for Ojukwu. We are planning. They have been planning the burial program and everything. How many Yorubas have you seen there? How many Northerners have you seen being accommodated in the whole program? Everybody has been Yoruba. We don't need this. When
they asked, this was actually debated on the floor of the Senate as to whether or not he will get a state burial. Wouldn't that have been an opportunity for us to show a nationalistic, perspective?
No, it is not when the government celebrates you. It is not when the government gives you a state burial that you become. The people will have the impression that you are a nationalist. No, it is when the choice or choices of people that are planning the program or that are involved in the planning of the program reflect a national convocation, a national position. National outlook. That you have that kind of identity. It is not the government. When the government does it, it is state matter.
It's
quite scary revelation this morning.
Historical truth.
Historical truth. And but what should we be doing to have that nationalist leader and nationalist train of thoughts and actions?
Patriotism. When you see an average American is very, very patriotic. And that is why all their leaders have been very nationalistic. Because number one, they don't promote ethnic agendas, they don't promote religions.
What do you mean?
What I mean by patriotism is
What do you mean when you say that someone is promoting ethnic agendas? For instance, now, what we're beginning to see, I was at that National Summit, and it seems that the minority groups are saying that we've been subsumed for too long under majority groups. We want our own identity. Our earlier guest here was saying something about being recognized as a part of a larger whole, and also having your functions within that particular part. How is that promoting an ethnic agenda?
Okay, take for instance, we have a president now. He is from Bayelsa. And then 90%, I'm convinced, 90% total conviction that is interested in the politics of Bayelsa. That shows you that's not nationalism.
Is that not natural that if you?
No, it's not natural.
You would not be concerned about what happens.
No. It is because you have been able to divorce yourself from your root. You are now a national leader. You are supposed to be seen as somebody representing Nigeria. You should not even show any interest in what goes on in your state. Why should you? What is natural about it? How many times have you seen people in US showing interest in their states? No. The fact that you are from that state does not mean that you must show interest or you must be interested in imposing somebody.
So now we're getting the sort of picture, because you remember, is it Blagojevich, the governor of Illinois, when he actually was trying to meddle with the state politics to see who could succeed, and finally he got, I think, 14-year jail sentence. That's an example of what
that's what we are talking about.
No, I'm not talking about meddling.
Okay.
I'm saying showing an interest in what goes on in your own home state. For instance, for God's sake, when you finish your national assignment, you would retire back to your state, and it's your people that will welcome you back. If you have ignored them in the time that you were national leader, and you come back, what will you come back home to?
No. You are promoting that. That's promoting the kind of thing you are promoting what we are saying is not good. It's not proper. As a national leader, in fact, in any case, having been president of this country, it does not mean that you have to go back to Bayelsa to go and live. You can live in Lagos. You can live in Oyo. You can build your house in Oyo. You can live among people. You are a Nigerian.
Or are you
first
saying
and foremost,
don't show more interest in your state than is necessary, or don't show any interest
such sentiments, such ethnic sentiments affect your reflections, affect your action, affect your character as a leader. So until you do away with such, well, you may consider it from the way you are, from the way you are taking it. It's like you see it as so minute, as being inconsequential. No, such little things can affect your orientation, your perception. You understand? Your perception. Because number one, it is what would make you to go against the rule of law in the country. It is what will make you, it is what will expose you to people, to ridicule. I was reading somebody writing a piece, and then, I look at the person, chief press secretary to the governor. That's Silva. Chief press secretary, a small boy. Right, and then he said the president lied, and then it went ahead to write all sorts of things about it. And I was saying, what kind of, this man has exposed himself. No, you don't do that. That's the president of a nation. But the boy now, because he has exposed himself, a small boy has been able to write an article lampooning his character, personality, calling him a liar, obviously, calling him a liar. So what are we saying? Because number one, he has not lived above that state. He must live above Bayelsa State. He must live above it.
We really need to be looking at all of that now, because I still can remember the Illinois story. That was why I brought that in. When President Barack Obama actually left his Senate seat and became president, and the governor of Illinois, Blagojevich, was trying to influence the person that could come in to that particular Senate seat, and today he's actually doing 14 years in jail. But bringing out all of that story before independence and after independence, how can we change things? Because we've always said this, how can we have someone, irrespective of where you're from, you say Dapo Thomas is maybe from Western Nigeria, but first you are a Nigerian before we think of where you're from.
I was about discussing that.
Are we going to look at the Constitution as well?
Yeah, no, the first thing you have to do, the fundamental, we start from the beginning. And what is the beginning? We start cultivating the spirit of patriotism. What is helping US today is patriotism. In every individual or an average American is ready to die for his nation. But are we ready to die for our nation? Yeah. Why? We cannot. Why? Because number one, there is a detachment of the personality from the national identity. What I mean is this: the nation is separated from me. If, for instance, I have not benefited anything from the nation, I don't have any attachment. There is no cultural, nor there is any ideological, nor is there any patriotic attachment. So I am isolated completely. If I look at how much or what suffering my parents went through to get me educated, right from primary school, secondary school, university. So the entire thing now, the entire glory or entire everything now goes to my parents. So I'm more attached to my parents. You understand? In terms of compensating them for what they have done for me. So the nation does not exist in my consciousness. Why? Because it has not played any role in my development. But an average US citizen sees himself first. In fact, in any case, that is why it is very easy for the state to withdraw a child or even take your child from you in the US. Because number one, the child belongs to the state. Why? Because the state has played tremendous role or substantial role in developing the child and in raising the child. Even right from conception, right from when the mother is pregnant. But in this case, right from when you are pregnant, you are on your own.
So how do we begin to correct that? And let me quickly clarify something here. When I'm talking about showing interest in what's going on in your own state, I'm not really talking about the politics here.
Okay.
I'm talking about the welfare of the people.
Okay.
Would that also be the same thing
I don't mind
as
that.
politics?
I don't mind that. So far, there is evidence that if you are doing 3 roads in Bayelsa, whether express or whatever you want to call it, you are also doing 3 roads in Ilaro. If you are doing in Bayelsa, you are doing 3 roads in Ilaro.
In terms of looking at the welfare of your own people, you should also, the thoughts should be in equal amounts around.
And don't forget, the state you are talking about has a governor, has a state assembly. So what are they doing? As they have local governments, leave those people to do all those.
So once you are at that national position, your outlook, your mindset should change.
What you are going to do is you are now interested in the aggregate of the national problems, in solving the national problems, not domestic. You have local government, you have assembly, you have governor. So what are they doing if they cannot take care of the development of the state? And then for a whole president to now show interest and say, because I'm going to retire back to Bayelsa, and at the end of the day, you now want to develop Ota. You want to develop Bayelsa. No! You can live anywhere.
It's a pain. Sorry, Mark, it's really very painful, and I'm quite happy that you're here, a historian shedding light on all of this. It's painful that over time, every leader we've always had thinks that way. They always think to us, if I'm from Jaga Jaga state, I want to fix Jaga Jaga state because I want to go back to that state and become a godfather of that state. I really want us to really, before you leave, tell us more what we can learn from the United States and other places that we've always talked about from now on, so that my own children will get to point at someone and say, that's a true nationalist. It's really a pain.
Now, the first thing you have to do is for the state to show interest, whether in the pregnant women, and then, play some role, active role. Because, like I said earlier, that the U.S. starts taking interest in the pregnancy. Once you are pregnant and you start going to hospital, they start giving you free milk. They start giving you free everything. By the time you are having the baby and everything, they start giving you food coupon. So that even if initially you don't even have the means to be able to sustain the baby, at least the state will help you to sustain the baby. So they give you food coupon, so you will be eating. Surplus, anyway, you'll be eating. And then they show interest in education, except you want your child to go to private. So they show interest in education, they show interest in the health of the child, they show interest in everything. They attach themselves to the child. The state is integrated with the child, not detached from the child. So when you start doing this, otherwise, we will keep having this kind of leaders because, number one, if we don't do that, if we don't find a way of integrating the child, integrating the baby with the state, we will keep having selfish leaders. We keep having egocentric leaders. We keep having people who are detached from the nation and then have allegiance or owe allegiance to their states or community. So you have to start from that scratch. You go on, identify with them, and then that is what is affecting us now. Take for instance in this security issue, how many of these security guys are ready to die for the nation? How much are they collecting? That's number one. Number two, who takes care of the family after their death? They die, you give them 1 million for what? 1 million to do what? So they don't see. An average American is ready to die because he knows that the state will take care of his family. All members of the family till they are able to be on their own. But over here, you give them 250,000, give them 500,000. Is it enough for somebody who has 3 children or 4 children to sacrifice his life for a nation that will neglect or ignore the children he's going to leave behind? What legacy is he going to promote if at the end of the day he dies and the children are abandoned? So there must be that interest. The state must show interest.
What about the younger generation who perhaps are supposed to think a little differently from what their maybe parents think about nationhood? You've been involved in a lot of them by way of lecturing. What happens, because sometimes you're having meetings, the next thing they ask you, where are you from? Oh, you're from here. And so that restriction on conscious wall is built. Are they faring any better in terms of perhaps with the hope of thinking nationalistic?
No. It's unfair because it still goes on. Which state are you from? And then we use that to give you admission in the university. We use that to give you, we say someone educational disadvantaged areas and all sorts of things. We don't make things open. We don't make things general. We don't look at people as Nigerians. We look at them as coming from Abia, and then we start having fees differentials. Somebody from Lagos State now will pay this amount, this one will pay this X amount, and that kind of thing. So you continue with the age-long disparities, and then you continue with that consciousness at the back of people's mind that look, it does not really what it. Okay, take for instance, if you go to Abia State now, something ridiculous was even about to happen when the man was about to send away the indigenes of other states. That was ridiculous. Yeah. Now, take for instance, as a student, I'm from Lagos State, and I went to Abia to go and study. And then you're asking me to pay 400,000. Let's just take that hypothesis. You're asking me to pay 400,000. You are collecting 100,000 from your own indigenes. Tell me, what kind of allegiance will I owe to your state? No, I don't have anything to do with your state. I come back to my state. So we continue to promote it that way. But until I go to Abia State, pay 20,000 that the Abia citizens are also paying, then I see myself as operating at every level in the nation as a Nigerian citizen, not as a Lagosian, not as an Abia person.